Good evening and a warm welcome to Weekend Dialogue on Biz Roundup. Tonight in our studios we have with us a representative from DeVry International Education Group, DeVry Education Group of the United States, and we warmly welcome Mr. Ranil Herat. A very warm welcome. Good evening to you. Good to have you here.
Good evening indeed. It's great to be here and thank you for having me.
Certainly, it's our pleasure. I think I got the name of the institution wrong. DeVry Education Group is the worldwide holding of several universities, and you're promoting an MBA program in Sri Lanka from DeVry University of the United States. Am I wrong?
Correct. No, you got that very well. So the parent organization is called DeVry Education Group, and we are one of the largest post-secondary and training institutions in the United States.
Right.
And we operate several universities. One of them is DeVry University.
Right.
And we formed a partnership in Sri Lanka to deliver the MBA from DeVry University with Asia International Academy.
How long have you been partnering with Asia Academy International?
It's very recent. We just partnered up, and we will be making some more announcements on the program to come. We will be starting our recruitment for the program in October,
right.
And we hope to have our first class start in January 2016.
Right. So tell us a little about this MBA itself. I'm sure our viewers would like to know what you offer and how this is recognized across the globe.
Sure. I would like to kind of take a different approach to talk about the program, which is how we structure our programs.
Right.
And we think of programs looking at the end result. The end result being what happens to the students who graduate from the program, which is essentially they would be looking at starting a career. And we start with the potential employers, finding out what exactly they're looking for from the graduates that come from business schools. And we work with industry leaders like Microsoft, HP, to Cisco to develop our curriculum. So our curriculum is developed based on industry input and industry leaders. And the curriculum then is delivered in a very hands-on approach, where the learning happens through a lot of discussion, a lot of assignments, and being engaged on a daily basis.
Right.
So that's kind of how I differentiate how we design and deliver our MBA.
What do you really offer students in Sri Lanka? You've just started promoting the program here, and with this affiliation with the Asia International Academy here in Colombo, what do you offer? What benefits do our students have, and how do you really design this program apart from how you evaluate the outcome?
That's a great question, and let's look at it in two ways. One is the US MBA that we deliver. It will be American faculty, and the students will be joining the classes through our online learning platform, and they would be sitting with other American students, engaging with them. So your learning experience is going to be different to something that's purely delivered in Sri Lanka, where you're sitting with a group of Sri Lankan students. Here you will be engaging with students mostly from the States, but from around the world.
Okay.
And locally, we want to give the students a flavor of the local business and the local context. And that's where the Asia International Academy comes in. So they have formed a panel of industry experts from all the major sectors in the local industry. And the students will get value addition over and above the MBA that DeVry delivers to give the students context as well as insights from the local business community.
Okay.
So that's the structure.
And talking about the online program that you, it sounds interesting, but what's more important is the fact that you all connect your students across the globe. How do you manage the timings? Because we're talking about different time zones here, and how do you give that truly, global experience to your students?
How we do that is, technically, we call it an asynchronous learning environment, which means it's not a real time, but we have study blocks of 1 week. Each week is a study block, and during that time, we would progress at a particular pace. So the discussions that are taking place need not be real time. So for example, a US professor who's taking your current class may post a discussion topic, asking the class to participate in that discussion on your learning shell.
Okay.
We call them threaded discussions, and the students through the week will be participating and contributing to these discussions. So it doesn't have to be real time, so therefore the time differences really don't matter. It's an evolving conversation and a discussion.
Okay, so they access these material whenever they want.
Whenever they want, provided they maintain the weekly rate of progress.
Let's talk a little about that.
Sure.
What's this weekly rate of progress, and how do you evaluate the final program for your students?
Sure. So our study periods are set up in 8-week sessions. So in a year, we will have 6 sessions.
Okay.
Each session is 8 weeks. So you will either take 1, maybe 2 subjects in each session.
Right.
And the 8 weeks, there is a week by week structure of how you cover the content of that subject.
Okay.
So each week you have to complete and participate in all the discussions. You have to do your assignments. And there would probably be 2 tests, 1 in the middle and 1 probably at the end. But the test will account for less than half of your final grade. So what's really important is not just studying up material, but really you grasping the concepts and developing true insights and understanding on the subject matter. And that's going to happen through the discussion. That's going to happen through active participation. And the student will be graded for the quality and the volume and the times that they participate.
Right. And Ranil, I think you've had experience in Canada, in the United States. That's what I've come to understand. And you have a lot of experience in the education sector itself, the higher education sector particularly. Let's talk a little about the Sri Lankan context. How do you think this MBA and the structure of learning structure that you try to implement here would support students here? I'm sure students are not very accustomed to that learning. But how do you evaluate the education system here from your perspective and your experience outside?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of different ways to look at it, and having worked in few different systems, looking back, I think we have a quality system in the public domain, which is the public universities that are operated here. I think a little bit more industry input and expertise could make the outcomes more richer. But outside of that, which the traditional system doesn't really service the entire need of the market. That's why a large number of students who actually qualify for university would not get into the public university system. So in the absence of supply, what's happened is we have had a whole range of providers providing a whole range of programs of varying quality. This is an unregulated market in that sense. And in US and in Canada, education is highly regulated. So I think some kind of standards and regulation could greatly benefit the market, because right now the students have to make up their own mind and make a call. They have no standard or standard body to look at to see what is of quality. So that's a challenge we have.
So talking about the regulation aspect, what changes would you like in our own system? Firstly, are you an outcome of the free education system here? You've been here, or what's your background like?
Well, my background, I'm obviously Sri Lankan. I'm a Canadian citizen, but I'm a resident of the United States. But I studied here in Sri Lanka, but for university, I went to India. So I studied.
So you chose to.
Yeah,
okay.
I studied in Delhi. Then I did my master's from Colombo University. So I did my MBA.
Right.
Yeah.
So what changes do you think? Because you really know how it looks like elsewhere and what other students actually experience. What changes would you like in Sri Lanka in terms of regulation into the system?
I think it is for really the regulators in Sri Lanka to decide. But if I were to give my 2 cents, I would say that it will be great to have a framework and some kind of regulation, accreditation in terms of outcomes, delivery, and what constitutes a true degree program. For anybody delivering any program that leads to a degree, there should be some oversight. and that way it will ensure quality, and that way it will also give the market a little bit more reliable way of knowing what might be a great program to something that really may not be a great program.
Right. So we move back to your MBA program
Sure.
by DeVry University. What is the investment for the program, and how can these students follow the program? Is it only in Sri Lanka, or do you have options where they could transfer to a university outside?
We offer tremendous flexibility. DeVry as a university, we've evolved and grown through structuring our program to meet the needs of the students, and not for the student to be working around what we operate as a university. And that's our success in the United States, and I believe that will be a differentiator for us in Sri Lanka as well. How we set it up is the student can start and complete the program in Sri Lanka if they wish to do that, and they will enjoy the special tuition that they would qualify for based on merit. Any student at any point could choose to transfer to a US university and complete the program there. Once you go to the United States, the regular tuition in the United States would apply. And again, the beauty there is we don't charge extra for international students. Students enjoy the same tuition in the United States as Americans do. So flexibility, where the student, we have a general structure, it's a 2-year program, but the students could choose to maybe study 1 year or 6 months here and go to the US
So they
for the
could
rest.
transfer any time
At
they
any
decide
time.
to.
And if you study in the US for at least a year, you qualify for a work option after you graduate. That's called optional practical training, or OPT. So international students, minimum of 1 year study in the US would qualify for that.
Okay. Finally, what is this partnership with Asia International Academy like going forward for you all?
We see great potential. I have met and interacted with the leadership there. This is a group that is highly biased to action. They take action very quickly, they execute, they do care about quality, they do care about the student outcomes. So we are very pleased to be partnering with them, and we see great potential. But one thing at a time, and first things first, we are launching this program. We want to put full effort into making it a success.
So do you all have any sort of programs that you want to link students with your university? Because you're just introducing the university to the local scenario.
Sure.
And maybe your partner, AIA, and you all have plans going forward.
Actually, we are organizing a panel discussion coming up on 20th of October, and there we'll have a number of DeVry officials as well as some local industry experts in a panel discussing the program, the relevance, local market, the context. So it would be a great opportunity for somebody interested in the program to attend and learn more about the program, the structure, and also the perspectives of some of the local business leaders.
So how do they get to be a part of this program? Do they have to register with you all, or do they just walk in?
Actually, it will be a limited number. It's a smaller group.
Okay.
So they would have to contact Asia International Academy and request for an invitation for the event.
Right. So
And I'm
that's
sure there are still a number of spots open for that. Yeah.
And talking about, finally, I think it's time we wrap up, but I'd like to ask a little about the recognition aspect for your program. You've
Sure.
touched a little about this,
Yeah.
but if we elaborate on what you promise your students as an outcome, and what sort of recognition they have once they graduate from your university.
That's a great way to wrap up. Like I started out, it's about outcomes, right? In the US, we are also known as the career university, meaning our outcome is purely based on the student's successful career, not a job, but a career. Career means that you start off well and you have a trajectory. So if you look at the Fortune 100 companies in the United States, 95 of them hire DeVry graduates. So that's really a testament to the quality of our graduates, and that's the quality of the output.
So that's a promise you have for your students.
Yeah, it's a global career. Students' ability, opening up doors and enabling them to start a career which would span their lifetime.
Right. So thank you very much for your time here with us, and I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors.
Thank you, Indy. It was great to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. We had with us Mr. Ranil Herat, Managing Director of DeVry Education Group International Programs. Thank you for joining us on Weekend Dialogue. We'll see you again after this break on Biz Roundup. Do stay with us.